Okay, welcome, and this is March 1st, start of a new month, and pretty interesting pretty interesting start to the month. So this is a little late. The Globex session's already rolling, and we'll talk about that towards the end of the video, but basically, this is the candle from the first on the daily, and it continuously kept making lower highs, right? So in pre-market, it actually gave a really nice short, right? So your risk would be something like this. Well, you have to risk first that candle. And there. So you'd have 4 to 30 points of risk. And you can tighten that up, obviously, right? So, like if I have 145-ish as my level 140, I want to get short in there. And if it reclaims that level, I'll stop out and look to re-enter as it comes back in. But open for a great short in pre-market, and then we got some rally in the RTH session. So yeah, let's look at the RTH for the day. This is the 5-minute. Actually, let's start with the overnight session. So, okay. So this is that 145 level I was talking about, making the lower high versus this and this. So, trend line. You know, pretty much just like that. You can go back from there to something like this. So anyways, the important thing is high, lower high, lower high, right? So not quite what I was expecting in the Globex session last night. We had a break of the 30. It closed. Well, there's an RTH gap from 30 to 1200. You can't see it in Globex, but it went down, it came in there, found buyers. People are thinking higher low from here, right? Something kind of like that. And where's London? London bought the dip into 80 after reclaiming it, and then that pushed us up to 145, right? So basically, once 80 held, anyone trying to shorten here maybe thinking that might be all that it has, right? So if you use the fib retrace tool, oops, sorry, wrong click, fib retrace tool. So they tried at the 0.5, also resistance at the 80. They tried a little bit at the 618, and then it ended up rejecting at the 786, the downtrend line, and that level, and then it sold. So once it broke 80, anyone from the Globex session in here is underwater, sold, found some support here to potentially make another higher low, risking versus this, maybe to push up and over, and that's where RTH starts. So let's go into the RTH, and I find going between Globex and RTH, the trend on RTH is more important, right? So Globex kind of does its own thing compared to RTH. At least that's how I look at it. I look at it that as them being two completely different sessions. Sometimes the levels that are respected in Globex aren't respected in RTH due to the volume. So most of my levels are all based on RTH. I do draw them with the settings, but I also check them over in RTH to look for more volume and where things are held. Buyers are active where there's more volume. Sellers are active where there's more volume. So the open is here. Okay. So we kind of opened right at support kind of chopping around there, and they tried to buy it, right? They were trying to buy 1200. This 990 could have been 1200, or it could have been, yeah, it could have been 1200 I could have had, or it could have been, there could have been a level at 985, 980, and 1200. But I try and keep the levels about 40 plus points spaced. So got the buy for the initial 15 minutes, and then after the first 15 minutes, basically exhaustion. So there's a low risk short here. It's about 20 points of risk, but basically it was the initial rejection, and then your stop goes right above. You can reduce your risk. Sold. Once it broke 1230, it's probably going to break the low of the day, and it did. And then it found support down on 50s, double bottom. Another pop up near 1030, and then more selling into 925. I was expecting 925 to break because it's a big level on the monthly. And it did end up bouncing, which kind of made me mad. I was short in here, and then I took profit, and then I was thinking, oh, okay, we're going to get that. And I got short in there, and then I got a little short biased and tried to short it a couple times on the way up. Finally did catch the 30. And that was a hard consolidation to sit through, and then a really slow grind down. And we actually ended up not getting the 925 break today. I tried a couple times. I got points, but it never gave me the follow through that I wanted. There was a couple times I gave back about 30 points, which is a pain in the ass. So I got to remember to not be so biased. You know, it's only the second time testing it, and then S as well was testing its recent lows. But yeah, that would be a stellar long if anyone caught that long. I should have, because it's, if you zoom in here, right, basically it gave you a little pop, and then it came down, and you have to basically risk versus this. And once it claims that, you know, it's probably best to give up till it comes back to something tangible to risk to. And there's nothing really tangible in this downtrend move, because it was so fast, right? So it's likely to retrace a lot of it. There's a little opportunity here, but it didn't end up working. It just kind of made like a little bull flag. Pop up, squeeze, pop up, squeeze. Consolidation, came back into the test, you know, 1200-ish, pop. And then that's where the sellers were present, right? Right where the previous high was. Present in here. Saw this rejection, so that's nice because it gives you something easy to risk first. Trying to fill, kind of trying to fill in here. Oh no, I changed my color. I gotta change that back. I don't like it. Anyways, yeah, try and filling in there and then just being patient. Once it finally did make a new low, it kind of gave us a nice slow grind down where any pop, you're basically shorting versus that previous high, right? Like this high or this low is made, it comes up, it pops, you're risking kind of versus this. Sells, pops, you gotta kind of risk versus this or a reclaim of this level. Sells, pops, risk versus this, sells, pops, risk versus this. In here it kind of got a little tricky because we were getting slightly higher high, but we never did get a confirmation till about here. We got the higher low and then the higher high, but you could see sellers were still very present all through the session. Yeah, and then as far as the 935 being the low of the day, or not the low of the day, but the higher low, basically they're risking in here, right? They're trying to make it a higher low. And it's getting close to the end of the session in here. So like I expected kind of a little bit of a bounce, but I didn't expect it to go all the way back up to 80. As the session runs out, you're more likely to see covering than the sell down, right? So I think if we would have held along here and consolidated, and then towards the end we got that break, it would be a lot more aggressive. And then the sell. Okay. yeah, so basically just positioning near levels today. You didn't even have to be, or something tangible with risk. And then let's just have a quick look at Globex, what it's doing. Globex, I kind of called this short out here at 990. I'm looking for this 925 break on lower volume than RTH, and that's what it did, right? So any pops, easy risk versus this, right? Like less than 10 points of risk, and once it finally broke a low, sell, right? Came into 925, tried to hold, tried to reclaim. In here, you got to just be patient, right? You got to kind of anticipate that this is tested the third time, it's likely to break. And then it was very aggressive and quick. If this 865 breaks, I expect 800 and then 750 probably. So right now we're at the, I was kind of watching this beforehand, but it's at about the 0.8 retracement. So sellers should be active in here if they're thinking of more. Otherwise, it can come down. It can retest 865 hold and then come back up towards to try and reclaim 925. I imagine 925 will get shorted again. I will definitely be looking for it if it gets up there. Maybe after this, I will try shorts in here, looking for more. I already have points from basically here to here for the night on 2 contracts, so I'm content with that into the session. I don't even know what I'll trade tomorrow, but yeah. So notice during the day, lower low, higher low, and then basically a failed trend change in here at the RTH. Break, lower high, lower low, lower high, tries to hold, pops up, and then it's Globex. Okay. Yeah, so let's look at the daily again one more time. I could see us coming down to here pretty easily. The weekly, yeah, weekly for sure there. Be nice to see a little bounce after that. But maybe we're gearing up to come down and test these lows again. So the monthly looks very bearish, right? Basically under 925, you need to try and be short. We'll see. There was a lot of buying pressure here these 4 months, all within this range. So we'll see if it holds up. If we basically, I'm thinking if we get a monthly close under 750, that can set us the next leg down, maybe into 9,755 or even 9,000 for sure. S probably 3,500. So that's what I'm kind of looking at. Let's see if we do come down and maybe we put in a higher low on the monthly. We still, basically, that would be good if we put in a higher low, maybe around 11,400, 11,100, and then came out and took out this high, and then that could potentially be a trend change on the monthly, and then maybe we'll come back and see all-time highs sometime this year or next year, but I'm skeptical to say the best. Anyways, that's it for tonight. Have a good night, guys.